This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Joe George here with you as always, and the Cubs lose 8-4 to the Royals. Colin Rea, rough day. Overall, just rough day for the pitching staff. 4 two-run home runs given up by the Cubs. In this one, the offense does a little, but not enough in the win. A brutal error by Suzuki. We'll go over all of that on today's show. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money using code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Plus, your reactions, your questions, your comments, always welcome live here on YouTube or on any social media platform at Joe George Radio. So, hopefully that's the last time Seth Lugo pitches for the Royals. It'd be nice if the next time he does pitches for the Cubs at Wrigley Field. I enjoyed what I saw from him today. Really like what you see from the breaking ball stuff. Kind of adds to my, want to him to be a Cub at the deadline. I would like the Cubs to trade for maybe two starters. I don't think this start, is a full indictment of Colin Rea. I think it just kind of shows you, just kind of a reminder of what his season has been like. Like Colin Rea's last four starts coming into this one, gave a combined 5 earned runs total in his last 4 starts. Well, he gives up 5 in this one. But the start before that, going back before the previous 4 starts, he gave up 7. So Colin Rea has really been one of these pitchers this year where it's been either really, really good or really, really bad. And if you look through those starts, it's like, he shut down the Astros for the most part. He's really good in these last handful of starts, but just bad in this one. Pasquantino, the pass squatch, great nickname for sure, was crushing the Cubs in this one. And obviously this game starts off on a brutal play by Seiya Suzuki in right field, who's in there for Kyle Tucker, who it sounds like he'll be back in the lineup on Friday, which is good because obviously last year Kyle Tucker missed most of the season, fouling the ball off his shin. So little kind of PTSD for people that have been watching Kyle Tucker over the last 2 years, I would say, watching him foul that ball off his knees and not being in the lineup today. I said on last night's show, I didn't think he'd play today, but Craig Counsell made it sound like he's going to play on Friday against the White Sox in the first game of that series. But yeah, Colin Rea was just bad. Like he was bad in this game. There's not much else to take away from it. The Royals, were hitting the ball in the air. The wind was blowing out. The Cubs didn't do that in this one. They did have some opportunities to score early on in this game, but Lugo's the last 5 batters he faced, he struck out. And so while you had a chance to get to him, he really shut down the Cubs lineup in this one as well. So it was a stinker. Like there's no other way to put it. Like that was a bad game. There's really, we'll talk about Matt Shaw probably on the other side of the break, but I think what kind of watching this game, sometimes it's hard to be like, what do you really say about a game like this besides the fact that Colin Rea was just terrible and the lineup didn't produce enough, runs to win the game today? That's just the reality of it. So for me, like watching this game, I kind of was thinking more big picture as it was playing out. They were talking about this on the broadcast, JD and Bugor, about how, in the month of July, before this start, because I'm sure it's different now, the Cubs had one of the best ERAs from their starters this month. But the bullpen is ranked 28th out of 30th in Major League Baseball in the month. So honestly, just watching this game, my kind of what I was thinking to myself was, what does Jed Hoyer believe in this team? Like, who are you? Like, who are the Cubs pitchers? Because I think it's something I struggle with. I think it's something like I think a lot of fans are kind of struggling with, of just like, what do you really believe? Like, we all know for sure, right? Boyd's awesome. Shota's awesome. Daniel Palencia has been very good this year. Brad Keller has looked like he's rebounded post All-Star break, but Presley was solid in this one, but obviously it's been a little shaky post All-Star break. Like, who are the Cubs really? Like, who are like the pitchers, the starters, the bullpen? Who are they really? That to me is the biggest question for the Cubs right now. And coming out of this game, I think it's the fairest one, the nicest way to ask it. It's just like, what are you, what do you believe in this team? And I think Jed Hoyer, this scouting department, your internal scouting department, your coaching staff, Craig Counsell, Tommy Hotovy, like Like, what do you really believe in with this team? And because I think that has to dictate what the Cubs do at the deadline. If you believe this is just a rough patch for the bullpen, then you probably don't need to try to add a ton there either. If you believe that, Colin Rea can be more of what he had been the previous 4 starts versus this one, maybe you only have to acquire one starting pitcher at the deadline. But if they don't believe that, then it changes the calibration a little bit of what the Cubs honestly need to do. TJ says, who are the Cubs really? A second place team. You're right, TJ. They're second place in all of baseball right now, the second best record. I know losing sucks, but going into this game, they're the best record in baseball. The Brewers are playing incredible for sure. It looks like they're going to get a win today. The Cubs will be in second place in the division going into the weekend series versus the White Sox, which is really just needs to be a tune-up series for this team. Got to get rolling, getting ready for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday against the Brewers, because that series is huge. Like, you got to win. You got minimum win 2 out of 3. Okay, the Cubs should sweep the White Sox this weekend. The White Sox are 6-4 in their last 10. They are playing a little bit, better baseball for sure, but the Cubs should sweep the White Sox this weekend. But then you have this. I mean, it is a massive series coming up next week versus the Brewers. You've only got 8 games left with them this year. Obviously, with the schedule changes they made, you play these teams a lot less. And really, how that series goes, whoever wins 2 out of 3 is going to be in firm control over the Central, it feels like. And, it looks like, as of right now, you're going to see Imanaga and Boyd go in that series, which is huge. You need your best guys on the mound, and thankfully they'll be getting that. But just take care of the White Sox this weekend. I'm ready to see what happens on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It is going to be an intense series, to say the least. And after a day like today, bad vibes going into at least the weekend for the Cubs, with Colin Rea getting roughed up pretty bad. All right, we'll take our break here. We'll talk about Matt Shaw, at least what he did in this game at the very end there. Continues to hit the ball very well, plus your questions and comments here in the YouTube chat as well. All coming up next here on the Locked On Cubs postcast on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, so you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. We have been using Monarch Money to help with paying off a car. We've been using that to help with the budget, to figure out how we can pay off a car quicker. So if we want to get a new one, we can be looking at that. If we just want to lower our bills on a monthly basis as well, we've been using Monarch Money to find a way to get that done. And we've been making a lot of progress. Very happy with what we've been doing. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, questions and comments here in the chat. You guys are crazy for some of these comments about the Cubs. I'm not going to read them all because some of it's like, look, not a fun game today, but the Cubs are just they lost the series. It's going to be okay. They have the second best record, maybe the third best record in baseball by the end of the day. But look, the thing is I think everyone's kind of antsy right now. Kind of just my general feeling about where the Cubs are at right now is everyone's antsy for the next 8 days. I think we all kind of had hoped that a trade would happen at this point, but frankly, there's been no trades in Major League Baseball. We have not seen anything happen big yet. And I think that again kind of shows to what, has changed about the deadline in the league, which I think is a little unfortunate. I kind of liked when you'd have a couple trades here and there, and then on deadline day, it would all kind of explode. But with the changes, the playoff changes, all of it, it is a slow rollout because I'll tell you, I'm ready. I'm ready to see what the move or moves are going to be for the Cubs, and feel like we got to wait another 8 days for this thing to really get cooking for the Cubs. And I don't think that's a reflection of Jed Hoyer. Again, I think it's just a reflection of what's happening in baseball. So I think we're all ready. Like, I was hoping there wouldn't be another bullpen game. Unfortunately, I think that's going to happen again for the Cubs coming up. Which is not great because they've obviously all been a disaster. And you got to keep winning these games because while, the Cubs are, again, they're only going to be at worst the game out of the division. The way the Brewers are playing right now, the thing about these games that I think it adds to the frustration is that the Brewers are playing so well and the Cubs they're not putting it together on like a game-by-game basis. I think that's where Cubs fans, like, I'm with you about wanting to see more from the Cubs is rolling games over and getting a win and then another and just stacking W's. That's what's not happening with the Cubs. And I'm not saying it to go out there and sweep every series, but they haven't done a lot of that this year. They don't have a lengthy win streak. That feels like, I would say, in my opinion, it's still going to happen at some point this year. I think I saw someone in the chat, and I believe it's correct, is a 5-game win streak. I think it's the longest the Cubs have had this year. That feels like that's a low number, and the Cubs should put together something, especially with what their schedule looks like the rest of the year. But it's hard to feel like that after a game like today, where you get 4 2-run home runs. Pasquantino is just crushing you. Can't get them out. You're making bad mistakes on the field. You're walking guys or you're hitting guys, as we saw later in the game, and then allowing 2-run home runs. So your offense just, while it's not contributing in a big way, you're also just digging, yourself a deeper hole. It feels like every time one of your pitchers is out on the mound. So the only positive really from this game today, it's just Matt Shaw. Like what he's done, he just continues to go out there and hit the ball very well coming out of the All-Star break. Okay. Again, I don't think that it's going to change the narrative of what the Cubs are going to do at the deadline, but so far post All-Star break, it's been the best thing with the Cubs. Kyle Tucker's not playing his best. Ian Happ has been, I think more effective lower in the lineup, but still it's not been great for him. So Matt Shaw is the bright spot from the lineup so far. And he hits the home run today in this one, but it's really the only thing. So a couple other things. Let's talk to the chat a little bit here. I can't post this one. I can't read all of it. But Quinlan is not happy with my take. He says the Cubs are fraud. He says, open my eyes. Okay. Here's the thing. The Cubs are, while this is a bad game, just to counteract your argument here, Quinlan, is that teams go through rough stretches. The Cubs are 6-4 in their last 10 games, or I guess that's a little bit different now after this loss. That was going into this game. The Dodgers are playing terrible baseball. They have been in a brutal streak. The Astros are below 500 in their last 10 games. Like the Tigers are 1-9 in their last 10 games. Good teams don't win every single day. Now, the Brewers don't make it feel like that, but that's why for me, like my thought process, like you're not going to hear me panic about the Cubs until that 1-game deficit in the Central becomes a 5-game deficit, and you're starting to look at what the Cubs record is. Are they going to make the playoffs from a wild card spot? So I get it. People want to say like two sunshine and rainbows and everything like that. For me, I just think like what I see from the Cubs is a really good baseball team that's not playing at their best level. When they add at the deadline, it's going to get better. And yeah, in a conversation in a couple weeks, maybe it's different. But for now, like I'm no panic in my mind with what the Cubs do. I said this before. If they play like the way they have, which is this up and down kind of roller coaster, where there's not the consistently good or the consistently bad, and they don't do anything at the deadline, my tone will change. But at least for now, like this is just a bad series loss. It's a bad game by Colin Rea. It shows why, again, I think there are larger conversations to be had about the front office and like what they've not done addressing the rotation through the minor league system and free agency. But it's just it's a bad one. That's all this one is. So let's see. Question: are the Royals good? Appears so if they won a series against the juggernaut Cubs on the road. A little sarcasm there. The Royals are a weird team. Like they haven't played to expectation before this season for sure. I think that there was a lot of teams like before the year. This is an excuse for the Cubs, just kind of a Royals thought. Like I thought the Royals were going to be a lot better this year. And look, what they did in this game against the Cubs is part of the reason why they haven't been as good as people expect them to be. Like they don't hit the long ball very well. It is interesting to me that the Cubs seem to always face these teams that kind of struggle with hitting the ball deep. Like you think about the Royals, the Cardinals, and all of a sudden they play the Cubs and they're just like cranking out home runs left and right. I don't know what that means, but I do find it odd that seems to have been happening a couple times this year where you're facing teams that aren't hitting the ball very well or hitting the ball deep very often, and then they do face the Cubs pitching, and it does go out there and just they crush you, and that's what happened in this game. So overall, rough day at the ballpark for the Cubs. Off day tomorrow. Got to get a sweep, in my opinion, this weekend. I guess 2 out of 3 is fine, but it's the White Sox. I know they're playing better baseball, but got to get a sweep before you get ready to take on the Brewers on Monday. So thank you for watching. We'll be back with you on Friday. You can hit me on any social media platform at Joe George Radio. We will talk to you on Friday night. Peace.